Hi boys and girls, welcome to ELA, the Modern Classroom. Before we get into what a modern classroom is and how it runs, I want to introduce you to all the teachers from the 6th grade ELA team here at Frontier Middle School. You could hear their voices on any of the video lessons that you watch, not just your assigned ELA teacher. So the first teacher we have is Mrs. Bean. She is on the red team. Then we have Miss Shea, who's on the blue team. And also on the blue team is Mrs. Muldowney. Then we have Mrs. Applegate, who's on the yellow team. Mrs. Egloff, who's on the green team. And finally, Miss Sienkiewicz, who's on the green team. The objective behind this video is so that you can explain how a modern classroom works. And that's really important because that's how your ELA classrooms are going to work this year. In this video, we're going to review what a modern classroom is and how you're going to learn in a modern classroom and how you will be graded. We'll also look at a unit and see how they're going to be organized. We're going to look at some tech tools that we could be using throughout the year, and then some expectations and what you need for our classroom. So first, let's look at what a modern classroom is. A typical classroom, a teacher standing in the front of the room lecturing. But in a modern classroom, a teacher is responsible for blended learning. And what that means is that students will access some lessons through videos and online resources. You don't have the typical lectures of a teacher standing in the front of the classroom learning. So that means that modern classrooms are self-paced because students control the pace of the lesson. You take as long as you need to master a lesson before you move on, which then will lead us to our grading. And this is a mastery-based grading program or system. So you're only going to be given credit when you master content. There's no completion grade. So we're not going to say, okay, you're going to get this grade just for your effort. Or, you got a 65 because you got this many wrong. Whenever you're doing an assignment, you'll be able to revise that work until you achieve a score of 85% or better. And then when you take a mastery check, when you're demonstrating your knowledge of the content where you should be at mastery or really know it, you're going to be expected to get a 90. And if you do not get a 90% or better, you're going to have a chance to do a reassessment. And then after some lessons, not all, you're going to have a reflection where you're going to look back on you as a learner during the lesson. So all of that equals mastery. And that is the goal of a modern classroom, is that all students are achieving mastery. So let's look at how the units are set up. So we're going to look at our first unit, which is literary elements. Now each lesson is going to have 4 to 5 parts, and the 5th part is going to be the reflection. So you may or may not have a 5th part. The first part is always going to be a video lesson. Along with that video lesson, you're going to have guided notes. Once you've completed those two things together, you will then move on to your assignment. This is your 3rd part. Once you've gotten an 85% or better on your assignment, you're going to move to the 4th and final part of a lesson, which is the mastery check. So this is considered the last part of every lesson, is the mastery check. And this is where you need to get a 90% or better. Some of the tech tools that we're going to be using in our modern classroom are, number 1, Google Classroom. That is the platform that all of our work will be set up on. So become very familiar with your Google Classrooms. The other tech that we're going to use a lot of is our Google Docs, because this is where we can do a lot of our writing assignments. In addition to that, we're going to use EasyBridge. This is your My Perspectives book, but online. We'll also be using iReady to do our assessments throughout the year. But we'll also be using Flipgrid, and this is where you can record a response to a question or a video that you were given. And Quizlet is another tech tool that we'll be using, and this is used mostly just for vocabulary. Again, these are just some of the tech tools. There are many more that we could be using. So let's look at our daily routine and our materials. First, our materials. Every day when you come to ELA, you want to make sure you have a fully charged Chromebook. And you will need headphones or earbuds that will plug into your Chromebook every day. You'll need a pencil pouch that has the necessities in it, a pencil, some tape, maybe glue stick, eraser, things like that. Your earbuds can be housed in your pencil pouch also. Then you will also need your agenda every day to write your homework and assignments in. The next three things you're not always going to need, so make sure you look on the homework board or if your teacher tells you. But the other three things are your My Perspectives book, the actual book, your ELA notebook, or your ELA folder. Then your routine. So every day when you walk into the classroom, the first thing you want to do is when you get to your seat is read the board. Look at the chalkboard and look at the smartboard. That will give you an idea of what needs to be done. Next, you're going to get out your agenda and copy down the homework. This will actually be one of the things listed on the chalkboard or the smartboard. After that, you're ready to get working. If there's something beside one of the modern classroom lessons for you to do, it'll be listed on the smartboard. After that, you're going to pick up wherever you left off in your unit that you're working on. And then you're going to check in with a teacher if needed. So if you've finished your lesson, your video lesson and your guided notes and you're ready for your assignment, you're going to have to check in with your teacher to get access to that assignment. Dismissal. You're only dismissed when the teacher tells you. So don't pack up and just head out because the time on the clock says that it's time for you to go. You need to wait till a teacher dismisses you. And you want to make sure that you gather all your materials and get them in your backpack. Nothing stays at school. You want to make sure your agenda is filled out with the assignments that are due. And you're going to double check your area and make sure that nothing is left behind in your desk, on your desk, under your chair. So look around real good. And then you're going to straighten your desk and push in your chair. That's super important. And finally, when you get home at night, you're going to plug that Chromebook in. You need to make sure that you have a fully charged Chromebook every day when you come to school. So the keys to being successful in ELA this year, or really in any class, is number one, solve your own problems. You want to be a self-starter. You want to use all your resources before you go and talk to a teacher. Check your agenda. Check your Google Classroom. Maybe check in with a classmate. Email a classmate and see what maybe you need to do if you're not sure. Always use your class time wisely. You're with us for such a limited amount of time. We want to make sure that you're using that time wisely. On Wednesdays, we have office hours at 11:30. So if you're falling behind or you're not sure of something or you're really struggling with completing an assignment, this is where your opportunity to be able to talk to the teacher. So the office hours are going to differ varying on who your teacher is, but Mrs. Egloff has them on Wednesdays at 11:30. Next, you're going to need to have a growth mindset. This is an I can do attitude. You might be able to not do something right now, but in your head, you need to say, I can't do it right now, but I will learn to. That's a growth mindset, a can-do attitude. And finally, always be prepared for class. You can't learn if you don't have all the tools that you need. So with all of these things, failure can be behind you, and only success lays in front of you. So let's have a great year